Okay, what the heck is going on with these quarantine hotels? Like, the reason I'm asking you that is because the federal government, they're taking a lot of heat because of these new requirements for returning travelers. You know, the ones that we talked about were required to come back home and then they have to stay in these hotels for at least 3 days until they get a negative COVID-19 test. Well, listen to this. One family who recently returned home from Portugal in Toronto, they were charged more than $3,000 for their stay at a hotel. Take a listen.
We get to the hotel, get to the lobby, and when we go to check in, the manager there, or the people checking us in there, said your room stay is over $700 per night. And we said, wait a minute, you said $369 per night. And then they said, no, it's $719 per night. There's 3 of you. And it's a minimum of the 3 nights. And we said, well, fine, you know what? We're going to cancel it. We're just going to go home. They said, it doesn't matter. Your credit card is still going to be charged.
So I'm not going to lie. That bill is outrageous.
Outrageous.
It's kind of crazy.
It's wild.
And it's not the only example that we've seen across this country. Other families have experienced this as well. But I love to run the receipts, right? And we've talked about it in previous episodes that the federal government, they did come out and say that if you're returning back to Canada, you are going to face a hefty bill. Remember? Just in case you forgot, take a look at this.
Travelers will then have to wait for up to 3 days at an approved hotel for their test results at their own expense, which is expected to be more than $2,000.
If you thought our prices were high, well, I want to show you another example. I want to bring you to Australia. Look up at your screen, because Australian citizens, they have to foot a $3,000 hotel quarantine bill, and a family of 4 there will be hit with an invoice of around $5,000 for their stay.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so when you compare it to our prices, really isn't that bad. No. It really isn't. But here's the thing. I mean, at the end of the day, there's obviously a huge disconnect. The government has mandated these quarantine hotels basically as safe quarantine spaces. But at the same time, travelers are kind of at the mercy of these hotels who are setting the prices. And if you don't abide by the law, by the way, there is a hefty fine that you could face. And I'm talking upwards of $750,000. Oh yeah, or 6 months in prison.
What's interesting too is the fact that the hotels are setting the price and not the government. That's interesting. That's a conflict.
It is, because
they're for profit.
And that's the big thing that a lot of people brought up when the government first came out with this plan. But at the end of the day, the government also said, stay at home.
Facts. Facts.
Tenayayad.
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 So let us know what you think, BG Squad. Should this still be a thing, or should people be allowed to quarantine directly at home?